Okay, we want to say good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, what a morning it's going to be. I can guarantee it'll be a great morning for you and me. So this happens to be a time when we do ask if there's anyone visiting for the very first time. I'm looking around and I see familiar faces. I see someone who hasn't been here for quite some time. We welcome her back. Her name is another Carol sitting here. Thank you for coming this morning. But the one thing we like to do on a morning like this is we love to always pray. That's one of the things we do. We always like to check out these wonderful, wonderful announcements. I know you like the announcements. So let me do that right now. Get it done. Because nobody's visiting us for the first time. We'll just let that go, Ruth. Thank you. Announcements. Next week, Reverend Moore Horton's topic. There he is. There he is up there. He's doing the job today. He's wearing that. What hat would you call that? The technician hat?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Oh, that sounds good. Well, I want to read your topic for next week. What's on your spice rack? What's on your spice rack? That sound good? It says here also, did you hear the news? We're hosting hospitality after the Sunday morning service. You all know that. Please join us. You can sign up in the library to set up, clean up, or bring snacks. There's a sign-up sheet in there that we could use some more people to do that. Phyllis and I signed that, but we decided we're going to do something else. Sorry about that. Okay, we have a book study going on. This has been a good book study. It's What's in the Way is the Way. Got to give that some thought, you know. That's really worth checking out. It's a good book. It's a great book, and it's meeting on Thursdays at 1:30 at the Woodland Chapel Library right here. And they're starting on chapter 3. But you can pick up that book and catch right up and come right over there. 1:30 on Thursdays. Masks. Well, we're not wearing masks at the time. We do see once in a while someone wearing a mask, and we want you to know that that's the best thing to do for you. We know that, and we support that. And if you feel uncomfortable with anyone standing very close, spitting in your face, just say, back off a little bit, would you please? I'm not wearing my mask. Or put on your mask, one or the other. Okay, let's get off the mask. New class, meditation, and affirmative prayer. Reverend Moore's got that all in hand. It's going to be a good one. Meditation and affirmative prayer. If anyone's ever taken that class in the past, you know it's worth taking again. And starts on May the 3rd. It's scheduled for Tuesday evenings at 6 o'clock. And we're going to have a sign-up sheet on that too, right, Reverend Moore?
There's one on the library table.
There is. Okay, you hear that, everybody?
You can take a sheet with you to remind you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's sheets to take with you, so to remind you about that. Okay, so what do we do next here? Do we know what we sing?
We can sing, yes.
I think we ought to do that, don't you?
We should always sing.
All right.
Your words are in your program. There's a little insert there. If you're not familiar with this. I think the hardest thing I ever hear as a teacher is I'll have a student come in and I'll say, have you ever sung in front of anyone? No. What? That's like your math teacher never making you show that you can do math. What do you mean? No, I just hide in the group. Who told you you weren't okay? Who told you that? They lied. And I'd say that probably, about 40 times a year. I'm amazed. So this song talks about that. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than you? If you know it, sing with me, otherwise you'll learn it really fast.
You can sit or stand, right?
Oh, yes, sit or stand as you see fit, please. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your life has been a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. Let's sing it again. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your life has been a miracle? What? How deeply you're connected to my soul. I'd like to do it just one more time because I want to. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your life has been a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. The last line, remind yourself. How deeply you're connected to my soul. Yeah, keep that in your pocket for this week.
That's a great song, isn't it?
It is.
Wow. I think we like to do something now that's very important in a Sunday service, and that is we're going to pray. And someone who is one of our practitioners is going to step forward and do what is called an invocation.
It doesn't say so, but there's an invocation. If you'd like to join me and just breathe into this moment, this one perfect moment we call now, and know with me that there is one power, the power that goes by many names. We call it God, we call it Spirit, we call it higher power, we call it love. And that power is in my life today. That power is in my life, and as I know this to be true for me, I know it to be true for all who are gathered here, and for those who are gathered elsewhere, or joining us through the miracle of the internet. And that one power is smiling right now, smiling to know that we have joined together and we're rejoicing in the wholeness that each of us embodies, smiling with the energy and the canine energy that's joined us today. I know that the music is going to express, as it is expressing, the beauty of this service. And the message holds the truth we each need to hear in our own way. Hearts are open, lives are changed as we move forward. All who have come to serve and be served are blessed. I hold gratitude in my heart for this service today. Gratitude that I'm blessed to join you and serve you and be with you today. And with this gratitude in my heart, I release this prayer into the law, knowing it is done as spoken, and through grace so much more. And say with me, and so it is. And if you would, excuse me, if you would turn to the affirmation, I boldly shine the light on every situation in my life, allowing my way to be made clear. And so it is.
Thank you, Cheryl. We have a reading right now. It's by someone who's read before. Her name is Carol Hoddle, and she's chosen a special reading for this morning. So, Carol, if you're there, you are. I couldn't see you in all this huge audience here. If you'll come forward now and do the reading, that'd be great.
It's always wonderful to be standing up here getting ready to read. I want to first say I'm really glad to see we still have the flower, the yellow and the blue on our altar to remember the people of Ukraine. When I was talking to Reverend Don about doing this reading, one of the things that I shared with him is when I was 19 years old and I was attending college and I was taking a psychology class. And in that class, I learned the concept of self-actualization. And it became almost like a mantra for me. And what I love about Science of Mind, and what I, subsequently when I started going to Science of Mind classes up in Seattle, when I lived there, I started understanding God through me, alignment with God. And as I am on my personal path right now, I'm understanding more and more that how that works and how the decisions I make can co-create with the divine. So I think the topic today of boldly going really means to trust that connection that we have with the divine. And so I'm reading from this month's Science of Mind magazine, and it's under The Mind is the Creator. Susanna Callahan, who is a best-selling author of Brain on Fire, says, "Our minds have the incredible capacity to both alter the strength of connections among neurons, essentially rewiring them, and create entirely new pathways. It makes a computer, which cannot create new hardware when its systems crashes, seem fixed and helpless." Then the writer, Jennifer Picnic, goes on to say, "We cannot underestimate the power of the mind. The mind can lead us to feel an array of emotions, from anguish to pleasure, depending on how we use it. When we stop, reflect, and become aware of how our minds have been conditioned and the result of those developed habitual thought processes, we are one step closer to greater recognition. Just beyond our prefixed notions is the freedom we deeply long for. We have not been gifted with this thing called life to suffer our way through it. Just beneath the surface of our thoughts, there is a greater truth for us all. When we push beyond the mind chatter and tread unventured territory, we are blessed with the most amazing wisdom. The seeds of our awakening are already planted inside of us all and are begging to be nurtured. Unveiling this truth is our gift and our birthright. We have a tendency to fixate on the very things we wish to avoid in life. The law of cause and effect is always working at our mercy. When we learn to think only the thoughts we wish to experience, we can trust a greater outcome from what we previously set in motion. Just past the surface of our thoughts is a treasured state of peace and love like no other. We must trust that anything born directly from this place of good will develop into pure beauty. We can work on continuously grounding ourselves in the state of mind by tearing down one destructive thought after the other and forming new habits and neural pathways. And she ends by saying, when our intent for life is pure, born from it will be our greatest blessings. The Spirit works through us. We can learn to break away from old, disillusioned thought patterns and construct a far greater reality by rising above what no longer serves.
Oh, goodness. Yes. Yes. When I was a little kid, my mom, I learned to swim because I actually had fallen into a pool and tried to drown. My father jumped in and grabbed me and brought me back out, and I was like, I'm never going near the pool again. And my mom said, nope, you now know that you have to find a way to do it where you are safe. But you can do this. Flash forward 20 years later, I was a lifeguard. Loved it. But learning to take that risk, because I was terrified. I was like, oh, it could happen again. But she said, you know, your dad jumped in and got you. You were fine. Yeah, different perspective, right? So she wrote this song for me many years later and kind of gave me her perspective on taking a risk.
Go for it, Brent.
Have you ever felt the low down blues? Stuck in a lifestyle that you did not choose? That you really had no voice? Other folks had made the choice of what you could and could not do. Well, I'm sure it's fine to feel that way. I wouldn't want to take those blues away. But then on the other hand, you might want to take a stand. Here's something you can do. You've got to learn to be a risk taker. Step out on faith and be your own dream maker. You won't need to make the claim that it's others who are to blame if you only take a chance. When the voice of God is calling you, there's no risk in what you're asked to do. There's no telling what you'll find if you put your fears behind. You'll only need to see it through. You can choose to turn your life around. Lift your vision up to higher ground. When you see that inner worth means more than things on earth, you can use the faith you find. Yes, you can learn to be a risk taker. Step out with God and be your own dream maker. God's already on your side. Seeds of growth are there inside. All you have to do is try. Take a breath. The key to our success, as I am told, is to release the thoughts and fears of old. Live each day a day that's new, so I'll leave it up to you. You decide what you will do. Oh, but for me, I'll be a risk taker. Step out with God and be my own dream maker. God's not up there in the sky, He's always standing by. So let's go ahead and try. Come on with me and be a risk taker. Release the fears and be our own dream makers. Faith is all we really need. The knowledge that we're free. The choice is up to you and me.
Isn't that a great lilt to it? Also, yeah. Just want to rock back and forth. Tap your feet. Oh, it's hard for me not to get out there and dance. Oh, gosh. Well, it is a good morning. I see that you all can agree with me on that because you're here. I'm glad you decided not to go to the coast or sleep in. Glad you decided to come down here to Woodland Chapel, be with us. But before we boldly go into our message of the morning, titled To Boldly Go, I'm reminded of a phrase that was introduced to millions of television viewers with its first episode on September 1966. A statement that said something like, to boldly go where no man has gone before. And I might add that to that nowadays, where no woman or child has gone before. But that phrase, that statement, which I paraphrased there, was introduced to millions of a world television audience with its first episode of Star Trek on that date. And it was spoken by Captain Kirk, captain of the Starship Enterprise. Oh, man. But you know, in those mid-1960s, America and Russia were locked into a space race to see who would be first to step onto the moon. And those famous words of Neil Armstrong, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, left this imprint of a boot and moon dust, and kind of set up a little sprinkle, I think, of stardust down upon the rest of us in our eye on this earth. So before we go deeper into this subject of boldly going, I would like to boldly introduce someone who's guest appearing here today. I had the beaming up button here, but it's escaped my, I'll use this. I'm going to ask this to be the magic, beam up this person to come forward. Where are you? Look who's here. We need some music for Star Trek.
Greetings, fellow Earthlings. I am Ensign Nonash from the first Starship Enterprise. When I landed here, of course, I said, "Take me to your leader." Reverend Don, thank you for inviting me. It's true, I did not make the first cut when they were casting, but that's because I was sent on a different mission. While my comrades were to boldly seek new worlds, I was asked to seek out bold new ideas to increase Earthlings' ability to expand their spiritual understanding of their divine nature and use it to improve their world. So for years, I've traveled with tracking devices throughout the galaxy, and until finally one day, today, I have discovered where I need to be. Yes, I've been on this mission since 1966, so you can see that by my outfit. I heard something echoing through the faintly distant galaxy from this particular star. The words, "infinitely splendid." I decided to give this planet, or a name, Dinaldu Lipatch. You
Say that backwards, would you please?
Woodland Chapel. I get it now. I get it now. This is where I need to be. More specifically, right here and right now is where I have been sent. To be infinitely splendid is to be bold, I discovered. My assignment turned out to be more important than just finding planets, because everything in the universe starts with boldness. Science is showing us that success comes from this mindset, or what I have been told from this planet after listening is described as universal mind, spirit, divine mind, universal oneness, and the God self. Think of it. When you are confident, inspired, loving what you do, whether it's singing or playing or dancing or painting or crafting or teaching, reading, gardening, cooking, giving to others, arguing, solving disputes, laughing loudly, even folding laundry if that makes you happy and you love it, you are bold. Bold doesn't know what a limit is. Really, do you feel limited by doing something that you truly love? We forget the limits when we're doing things we truly love. When you're joyful, you feel free, which turns you into the purest vessel, an ideal conduit for the greater good, for God. What better way to improve our world? So I believe that my mission is accomplished here. I must return into the past of 1966 with my findings, which I am so excited about. But before I go, I look forward to hearing what your great leader has to say so I can add his message to my findings. Stay me now, or as you earthlings say in this century, namaste.
Did anyone catch her name? No? Okay, well, her name. It's to be, I think it's pronounced backward. Take Shannon and pronounce it backwards. Doesn't that make ring a bell? When we see Shannon next, we'll ask her about that. Okay. Well, moving right along. That was a nice, gosh, a nice visit there. I don't know when she'll be back. Perhaps never. But it was a nice visit. You know, something else, moving right along for the morning, I remember back a few weeks after that step on the lunar surface by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, I was watching television news, and I don't know when it was, but it was a month or two later, I suppose. And Aldrin was being interviewed about his experience. The interviewer asked him how the astronauts summoned up such courage and bravery to go out into the unknown and on these unproven space ventures and like that moonshot landing. And Buzz answered with something like this, from what I can remember. He said he believed it was not such a matter of courage and bravery, but more of a matter of boldness, bold action, to boldly go forth and put into action all the training and all the knowledge and the rehearsal, time after time. They went through this whole thing. And the thing was designed, what they trained for was to bring forth a mission to have a successful completion. You know, it wasn't a one-way trip. They had to believe that they were prepared to come back home. I like that idea of boldness. You know, I think this is applicable to our own lives. When you think about it, summoning of courage to do something, or even different than an act of bravery, as we work and we play and we navigate our human journey here on this planet, exploring our parts that we are to play, of course we have these moments when we're going to have to summon some courage up, or bravery, where we're trying to meet different fears. But with spiritual practices, and this is what I think she's discovering when she came to this planet, with spiritual practices that we humans have the privilege of being introduced to, we I'm sure that we can just immerse ourselves in, well, I call it spiritual practices. Let's just leave it at that. And there's where we begin to discover our true self. That's who we really are. And we expand our knowledge of our mission on this planet. Do we all know this, that we have a mission? Do you have purpose for your lives? Oh, yes. You see, astronauts Armstrong and Aldrin boldly climbed into that early space vehicle, and with a trust in their training, with a trust in the technology and the knowledge and all those practices they had, they just boldly used and followed the procedures that they had rehearsed over and over until they got it right. Something in them trusted, and they boldly went where no one had gone before, at least in our generations that we know. So for us to gain this higher ground in which we are talking about all the time in this chapel, in our spiritual pursuits, of course, we got to reveal. We have to just reveal and then just recognize it. When we see this wonderfulness of who we really are, we call ourselves spiritual beings. We're more than that. We are beings of creativity. Oh yeah, we are beings of creativity. We got to increase our faith and believe that creativity is who and what we are. That's who and what we are, creative beings. We don't just sit around doing nothing, when sometimes it seems that way. Netflix comes on, and that'll get my attention right quick, okay? But we're individualized expressions of divine intention to infinitely create, constantly create. And it works for us, and works through us, and works as us. And let's take a moment just to think in terms of what it is that we would create. You know, I think we're contributory creators. We're not just creators, we're when we say co-creators, that expresses the possibilities which Spirit has in mind by working through us for ongoing creation. And yet, our freedom of free will, that's what it comes down to. Our freedom of free will, and I'm going to ask this question of Shannon. Shannon, we just had a visitor here earlier.
I'm sorry, I had to take a phone call
Well,
from the hospital, emergency rescue.
I thought so, but there was something strange about her. Her name, I couldn't remember, but I've been let my mind go, and it sounded like it was Shannon spelled backwards. It was really weird. Because they talked about woodland.
Oh, I hate that name. That was a childhood name that somebody gave me. I just hate that name. I hope to goodness sakes that nobody else got that name. But
Well, okay. Just we'll just let that drop then. Okay. All right, thank you. Very good. Well, anyhow, you missed it.
I'll watch it later, right?
Okay. It's being recorded by Reverend Moore and the technician up there right now. Okay. Oh, terrific. Thank you. Well. Getting back to this freedom of free will, we talk about this a lot. You know, we make these choices. We can make these choices. And then what happens is that the law of creation is backed up by the love of God for it all. You know that God loves it all, don't we? We know that. God loves it all. God doesn't judge good or bad. God loves it all. And it says yes as the universe opens up to this thing that we've realized. The universe says yes, yes. And in this allowance of saying yes, this universal law of yes, for our choices and our actions without any interference. This is something interesting. It's important that we realize, I think, and understand that there's always outcomes. Actions bring reactions. Our choices are not just out there and laying around. Our choices are creating an energetic attraction. And there's always these outcomes as our choices set up every act to bring a consequence. We talked about that before a couple of weeks ago, because the law works for everyone too. You ain't special. Yeah. No one is favored. The universal law doesn't judge good or bad, worthy or unworthy. That's ours to do. We do that. Don't take that away from us. We're human beings. We can draw perspectives about what's good and what's bad and what's not for me and what's okay, it's for you. That's where we've taken on, that's what we've done with our human planetary thinking for survival, basically. And it's about what we desire. It's about what we choose to be ours to do. It's about what we want to do. Yeah, it all comes down to this idea of what we really want to do, what's our desire. You know, Phyllis and I, Phyllis is my wife, if you don't know Phyllis by now. She's been here for, have you been here for 45 years with me, Phyllis, or how long has it been? Something like that. Phyllis is only 45, I'm older. Phyllis and I deliver Meals on Wheels, and along our route is a church with a reader board. Remember this? You remember this, Phyllis? And outside it has this message that's been displayed ever since the Russians invaded Ukraine. And it says, come on in and get a facelift. Get a faith lift. Yeah, I love that message. Come on in, get a faith lift. We sorely are in need of a faith lift. You know, when we engage in war, choosing destruction, we are sorely in need of a faith lift. War is spiritual immaturity. I just made that up, but I like that. I'm going to stick with that. Yeah. War is spiritual immaturity. It's our pygmy self in charge. When we take actions to support peace, that's coming from spiritual maturity. That's coming using that faith lift that we get when we study what we're studying here. When we choose to share the abundance of this verdant planet and choose not to plunder or waste Mother Earth's resources and hoard her treasures just for us, we bring a useful, lasting quality for the good of our planet's inhabitants everywhere. Equal energy moves in response to all actions, all of our choices in action. All of our actions set in motion, all of them react. They equal in the quality of our actions. It's a reaction that comes about from our choosing. Love, begets love. So what else begets what else? We choose and energy moves. Yeah. No stagnation in our life, really. Did I ever tell you the story of the two? Did I ever tell you the story of two neighbors, an atheist and an elderly woman on Social Security? Husband had died and she's now on one Social Security, struggling to make a life work. But she has this outspoken, bold expression of her faith. Did I ever tell you that story? Okay, come on back a couple of weeks. No, okay, let's see if it works. What I remember about the story is they live side by side. Their houses are so close. Front porches look the same. The atheist is just tired of this woman's diatribe about God. Every morning she gets out, she wakes up, she walks out on her porch and she stretches her arms out and she says, "Praise God. Thank you, Lord, for supplying me with everything that I need. I know you need the electricity paid next week. I know you need that. I need that. You know I need that. I do that. Praise you, God." And the atheist, he gets tired of it. After weeks of her doing this, he'll step out on his porch and he'll say, "There ain't no God, you ignorant woman. There ain't no God." And she just walks back in. Well, this happens over and over again. He's not insensitive. He sees that she struggles. And he sees that she's just drinking tea for breakfast, it looks like. He can see in her window there. Well, he decides he'll go down and buy some groceries for her. Set him out there, and he'll show her what God's all about. So he does that. He sits down these 3 bags of groceries. She comes out on the porch. She sees her groceries. And then she says, "Praise God. Thank you for supplying these groceries to me." He screams out, "There ain't no God, you woman. I paid for those groceries." And she says, "And thank you, God, for making the devil pay for it." So I haven't told that before, right? Okay.
I like it.
So anyhow, the truth, we're always looking for truth. Truth is inside us, and that's the divine seeking to see through our eyes. This truth inside of us is God looking through your eyes. It's God wanting to dance with your limbs. As once said before from this podium, it'll be said again, I'm sure, that without you and without me and without all of the other zillions of life forms on this planet, Spirit God could not be fully realized. There could not be fullness of life and completeness of intended expression of all free to be the naturalness that we all are. To see the truth of who and what we really are and have this ability to co-create with the power of boldness and confidence. Who among us doesn't want a more powerful life? Is there anyone here who would like to have a more powerful life? Oh, we can talk about peaceful all we want, but indwelling power, I want to tell you, indwelling power empowers us with opportunities to install that peace that we want. Because it is about our choices, isn't it? We all may define power in our own unique ways. That's fine. Dr. David Alexander, most of you know him from reading some of his articles. He's spoken here before. He spoke on our Zoom. Reverend Moore had him as a guest speaker. Dr. David Alexander states in this month's Science of Mind magazine, it's there, you can see the article, he defines power through our wanting a life of joy, desiring a life of love and prosperity, and then having that ability to have the experiences that we desire and do it with ease and grace. That sounds powerful to me. That sounds like a great empowerment. He goes on to make a bolder statement. He says, the path to a powerful life lies in our understanding of the power that we have in our consciousness as powerful beings. To be able to create an empowered life, a life where we find ourselves awakening and aware. We find ourselves aware of being immersed in spiritual energy directed by spiritual forces. You see, when we marshal those spiritual forces and we find out what they are, we have this power then to solve big issues. We can answer the big questions. And we can vision. That is amazing to learn how to vision. We can vision, and when we vision, if we vision, first off, for guidance, lighting our way, and insights, then we're tapping the greatest resource could ever be known by mankind. That great resource of universal knowledge and the unerring law that brings it into being when we make that choice for it. We then reveal the magnificent ideas which can both anchor us in our faith and launch us into lives of meaning. Don't we desire lives to have meaning? Betcha. Full of passion. Who does not want passion in their life? Full of passion, full of eagerness to fulfill all of us equal in that way. Gosh, fulfill our mission on this earth. We got it. Let's figure it out. Let's do it. You see, God still doesn't play favorites. Never has, never will. We are intelligent thinking creatures. Actually, intelligent thinking beings. Creature bodies. And we can choose what is ours to do. Yeah. We can do it, choosing for the good of all. That's a great choice. And God doesn't give us a pass just because we're good. He doesn't give us a pass on the next problem or challenge that's going to pop up in our lives. And believe me, as a human being, challenges pop up. But we are empowered to take care of those. That's the thing we must find out about. We're not to ignore what's given ours to do, and do we think this? Now let me ask you this. Do we think God, this one ultimate cause of all life, would be able to hold the life of a soldier of Ukraine more dear than the life of a soldier of Russia? Spirit does not even know what the words favorite or punishment means. That's ours. That's ours to do. That's our project to work on. But through this, what we call natural law of how creation works on all levels, especially take our human level, if we choose to act in ways out of balance with synchronicity, with universal law, natural love and law, then the result will be a necessary balancing of whether we like it or not. It's got to balance what is out of sync. The first law of heaven is order. Got it? Balance got to be restored to the universe's order. And, what did we say earlier? There's consequences. Always in all the choices we make in our actions. Equal reaction to original action, to what we originally acted or chose to do. Now I know that was all covered a couple weeks ago. But there's a law of order that blends and weaves all the chaos into the divine order for the good of all creation. And it's so unfathomably huge and powerful that we should be in awe of the order of its power. Nothing escapes the matrix of this order. It's that first law of heaven. All else will just simply burn away. The forms just burn away, but you know what doesn't burn away? It's just a shifting of energy into other useful forms. Nothing goes to waste in the universe. It's all used, but never used up, finding its way in the flow, always of divine right order. And we always like to state that we're spiritual beings, not filled with sin. We're not filled with failure of having to live up to a powerful being's expectations and live under the shadow of being these blighted, fallen creatures. We don't go down that road. But one of our congregants wrote these words, and they really apply here. I'm privileged to have permission to insert them into this spot. It was in a conversational email to me with this comment. She said, "We are made as works in progress." I like that. Not as fallen, but we are perfect in our perfection. And as we grow through the decisions we make in our lives, according to our individually given spiritual dominion, are we not freedom beings, huh? We contribute then to the ultimate ascendance of divine love, and we are restored and perfected within that divine love. Love heals. And I wish to add that we're not here to be judged for a performance. We're here to be an expression of our true self, to become awake and aware of this power of the divine flowing through us as us. So I just simply say, let's continue our practices of spiritual endeavors, whatever they may be. Some of us continue to study and learn by reading the dearth of books and magazines that are available through New Thought. It's amazing how many we have. This book club that we're in right now, great book that's going on. Wonderful book. A lot to be learned out of that. If you studied for 100 years, a lot to be learned out of that book. Some are immersed in community service. Some are involved in lots of healing. Some will teach the principles of spiritual living. Reverend Moore does it all. He teaches, he heals. Others may just want to come to a Sunday service. That's fine with them. Once a week, allow the experiencing of this music like we have today with Brant and Darcy, and allow the experiencing of the fellowship with others. That's enough. Have a cup of coffee and greet others. That's fine. And we like to say, we in leadership of Spirit here, we like to say, it's all God. It's all God expressing through us, for us, as ministers. We just point that out as a spiritual fact. But I want to pause. I want to ask myself and others to consider, do we really believe it? Do we really live it? When I say all the time, or hear said, there's a power in the universe and it's greater than we are and we can use it. We say we're spiritual beings. There's a power in the universe and we can use it. It's greater than we are. As a spiritual being, where do I fit in on that then? I think we're talking about a power that's greater than all the human basics, and the Spirit in us is the one that can use it. Because we're connected as one with God. As Jesus Christ said, great teacher of mankind, I and the Father are one. How do we move past from just sitting on what I like to call slogans? We use slogans. That's a wrong word for them, isn't it? Nice, not a nice word, but how do we think outside the box? We're told, think outside the box. In our New Thought thinking, we talk about that a lot. Well, here's the way I look at it. Thinking outside the box. I think we're living in times that are calling us not to just think outside the box. I think we need to dismantle that darn box. All of which we may have patched together, making a box to live in, to survive maybe a past that still haunts us, or numb us from these present pains we might have from human wounds that many of us still carry. You see, all it takes is just little shifts to open big discoveries. Our willingness in each moment to peel back the layers of the protection and safety in this box that we built, doing what we've always done, and then just to go, there's a fly, got him. Oh, I didn't get him. My daughter's the one that catches flies. They fly around, she'll just go. She should be a ninja. Anyhow, where was I at here? Oh, missed him again. Okay. So, Don, would you come up and get... No, stay there. What we need to do is to go boldly forth into this uncharted territory and create what can be called spiritual spaciousness. Got that? Spiritual spaciousness. A place or a state where we can even breathe differently. You know, like we do these meditations at 10:30 as Reverend Practitioner Ruth. Like the R's in there get me. Reverend Ruth sounds just so good. Reverend Ruth. No, it's Practitioner Ruth. You know, these meditations give us this breathing differently than we normally would when we're just visiting. Take a deep breath, we say. Okay, let it out. Take another one. Let it go. You know, there's a Buddhist perspective that speaks to what is called a state of being through having this beginner's mind. Let me tell you, there's daring and becoming vulnerable enough and admitting to purposely not know and put ourselves into a beginner status. We don't want to do that because we're afraid of looking ignorant. You know, it's not ignorance. It's innocence. Yeah, I remember in early class years ago, I was studying to be a practitioner, and I heard the instructor say that the innocence of not knowing is a wondrous place to inhabit. Because you're not jaded then by the old expectations or experiences. You're ready with your beginner's mind. All creation, you know, starts with a yes. And the yes that we may offer to being different, inexperienced, and even innocent can open us up to ways of being that may seem unfamiliar, yet they're filled with potential for greater aliveness and discovery. It's our willingness that is our worthiness. Oh, yeah, think about it. We long to feel alive and awake and energized and uplifted, getting that faith lift, and to feel that mysterious expectation of something great and good coming into our life, no matter how small it might be. We're supposed to embrace, if we can, even the smallest little surprise of goodness. It pops right up there. How about the visitor from back in 1966 that was with us this morning? Wasn't that a nice little surprise? Yeah, darn right. Okay. Now, I know we're moving the morning along here. Let's see, I've got 15 more pages. So I think we ought to just consider stepping out of comfort zones at times and stepping into, I like to call it authentic spirituality. And how do we do this? What am I talking about? Well, we start by boldly daring to tell the spiritual truth of our life. We do that so we can begin to tell the creative truth of our life. We become these creators with truth. We bring in the power of conscious creating for goodness, for wellness. We be bold. We dare to show up to the creative expression that we already are. We're already there. And what does all that mean? Well, Dr. Ernest Holmes, who opened the doors of spiritual science to reveal for all of us, said that each person can speak out of his own or her own consciousness, that inner being, which is eternally connected as one with the infinitely creating one mind of the universe. And when any one of us discovers this oneness of our own being, we reach a state of atonement at 1 month. Right. Consciously awakening the boldness of faith. And we receive a faith lift. We rise to an understanding that we have the power of prayer on our side. We like to call it spiritual mind treatment. Our ministers and practitioners, we use it constantly. What we do is we affirm with power thinking, and then we have the boldness of speaking our words of acceptance for themselves, ourselves, or others who are asking for prayer. It is that simple. It is perspective. Just think how satisfying it is to speak prayerful, affirmative words that have this richness of our true feelings about it. How a sense of living with authentic intentions. Ooh. Being truthful, speaking our truth with no deceits or no arrogance or power juggling for selfish, hidden agendas. Just transparent truth. Yeah. Making things around us crystal with clarity. Truth has a real lasting, satisfying power. Now, I think I need to start closing down. When we understand what is ours to do, or to bear, or to change, I'm going to leave you just with some simple words that I allow for myself, and anyone else can use them in committing to get a faith lift. The very word that holds the power to neutralize all discord in life, you know what that word is? Heal. We talk about love, but it's when we heal, the human realizes it. Mother Teresa, I want to tell you this little story, it's very short. Mother Teresa is supposed to have been one of those rare angels of in human form who knew that sometimes, now get this, sometimes healing is greater than taking away what the human eye sees as wrong or negative or diseased. She said that her greatest experience of God working in her life showed up as a leper, ragged and to the human eye seen as wretched and diseased. But she saw God holding out a divine hand to open her eyes to a different example of God asking her to see the beauty of comfort in unconditional love. That's why I can boldly leave you with a favorite interpretation I personally have on the word heal. And you know what it is, many of you. Heal, H-E-A-L, simply helping everyone accept love. That's enough. Thank you. Namaste.
May I be kindness. May I be patience and hope. May I be healing. Even my enemies, I will give my love. May I have the will to give when I'm afraid there will not be enough. May I speak a gentle word when the language of the day is angry and rough. May I reach out my hand when there is need of love to ease the pain. May I thank the sun each dawn, grateful for the chance to start this life again. May I be kindness. May I be patience and hope. May I be healing. Even my enemies, I will give my love. May I be an instrument when I raise my voice. It's not me that's heard. May I live in true respect, trusting the the divine perfection of the earth. May I have the strength to stand for justice and peace in the face of war. May I thank the moon each night for the promise of the sun to rise again once more. May I be kindness. May I be patience and hope. May I be healing. Even my enemies, I will give my love.
That was a powerful song. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we have come front and center now in a circle to from beginning now to an ending. And in this part, in this time, this is everyone's opportunity to step up and step out and step into spirit and help support what we have here as our spiritual home. This place that we can meet and be and grow and love and share and all the things that make life increase in its worthiness and worthwhileness for us. So, if I could ask Carol and Shannon to help perhaps with the offering here. Okay, still hear me okay. In our program, there's some wonderful words. Starts out with divine love. So if you'll read them with me, that kind of blesses what we're going to be doing here. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate.
There we are. And you have the words in your program if you want to sing with me. Here we go. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We cannot know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us, you and I.
That says it all. It's in every one of us to step up, step out, step into spirit and be all this wisdom that we truly need. And sometimes forgetting, but most of the time, something inside of us says, yes, this is mine to do. This is ours to be. This is where we belong. And so I want to say thank you from the heart of this house of faith, the heart of all the ministry, the spiritual ministry we have here, telling you that we appreciate each and every one of you, and we bless whatever you have decided to offer for this month. Thank you, and so it is. All right, we have this special prayer of protection, it's called. Sometimes it's just an empowerment prayer when we say it. And it's in the program, and it starts out with the power of light. Okay. Light of God. Let's say it now. Light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us.
The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Yes, it is. Let's sing our peace song. And we can stand or sit or however.